Right, now to finish the program, I can think of no better way, a grand finale, than to talk about Meghan Markle and Prince Harry.
It all began high above Milan, inside a glittering glass-walled suite where Prada's top brass had gathered for what was supposed to be a flawless decision-making day. The skyline shimmered like a movie backdrop, the kind meant for luxury, calm, and class, not chaos. Everyone in that room believed they were making history that morning. They just didn't know how messy that history would get. The shortlist for Prada's next global ambassador was basically written in stone. Graceful European models, a couple of mysterious indie actresses, a sprinkle of discreet A-listers, but suddenly, boom. One unexpected name flashed across the screen: Meghan Markle.
Sure, you'd agree it's a fitting end. They were crowned Humanitarians of the Year just last week, a title I'm sure they deserved. But Meghan's latest Instagram post, coinciding with the award, doesn't exactly scream.
Within days of that meeting, whispers started to swirl. Insiders revealed that Meghan's team had slid into Prada's orbit just in time, armed with a pitch so bold it could make a boardroom go silent. Through her fresh Beverly Hills PR machine, they sent a proposal wrapped in the elegance of diplomacy but carrying the weight of royal ambition. She didn't just want to endorse Prada, oh no. She wanted a throne beside it, creative control, a capsule line, a front row seat back into the luxury world she'd once flirted with. And the asking price? Let's just say it was so astronomical that one board member literally burst into laughter mid-meeting. But then silence fell, because everyone knew Meghan didn't bring ordinary press. She brought storms, global attention, controversy, algorithms that bent for her name alone. But Prada under Miuccia had chosen a new religion: minimalism. Meghan, however, was a walking headline.
Patrick, the people's princess she ain't.
No, quite. I mean, it's nice to see Prince Harry there. He must have chewed through his dog lead and just been able to wander off free roaming for a second there. But yeah.
That same week, Prada had already locked in their new muse, a young British model, elegant, quiet, practically made of calm. And if there's one thing Meghan Markle is not, it's quiet. But before any official decline could even leave a desk, Meghan made her own entrance. She landed in Milan, uninvited. Witnesses swear the moment she walked into Fondazione Prada, dressed entirely in black, flanked by assistants and a bodyguard, the air shifted. Cameras weren't allowed, but someone always leaks. Hours later, grainy clips exploded online, showing Meghan speaking animatedly at the entrance. Lip readers claim she said, "I made Givenchy relevant. I can do the same for you." TikTok, Twitter, every celebrity gossip page, they all ignited overnight.
Gucci shoes at the time, you know, it's just ridiculous, isn't it?
Just like that, Prada's carefully built wall of serenity was shattered by a royal storm before sunrise. Panic calls, emergency emails, a crisis team on speed dial. Because in Milan fashion circles, there's a golden rule: Prada doesn't chase attention. Prada defines it, and Meghan Markle had just broken that rule on camera.
On earth were they crowned Humanitarians of the Year? I was just absolutely insane, really. I think, though, I've got a theory that it's because after they had the wildfires in California.
And just a reminder, every deleted tweet, fake statement, and PR cover-up takes hours to piece together. If you want to help this channel keep going, hit that join button and become a member. We'll keep exposing what they won't.
She decided to get a load of her celebrity mates to donate some clothes to people. So, I mean, that might have had something to do with it, but...
The next morning, Prada's HQ might as well have been a war room. Executives juggled 1,000 calls, journalists, influencers, sponsors, all hammering one question: is Meghan Markle your new face? The truth was no, but the rumor had already outrun reality. Hashtags like hashtag Prada Royale and hashtag Markle in Milan dominated social feeds. Mock-ups of Meghan as Prada's next ambassador looked chillingly real. She weaponizes presence, one insider whispered to Corriere della Moda. She doesn't need a contract. She just needs a doorway and a camera. Inside the boardroom, the mood was glacial. Newspapers with screaming headlines, "Duchess reclaims fashion power," were slammed onto the table. One executive muttered, "She builds empires on noise." Another nervously asked, "Should we ride the wave?" But Prada doesn't ride waves. Prada makes them. Within hours, they crafted a statement. Cold, polished, polite. Prada has no current plans for collaboration with the Duchess of Sussex, but before it even hit inboxes, Meghan's camp moved first. A gracious guest narrative was planted in Women's Wear Daily. Suddenly, it looked like Prada had fumbled their own story. She'd framed herself as the innocent one. And then, photos surfaced. Her assistant at the airport, garment bag in hand, logo blaring, tabloids screamed custom fittings, and the fire turned into an inferno. Prada's quiet brand was now trapped inside Meghan's headline machine. The internal verdict was brutal. "She doesn't want to wear Prada," one exec muttered. "She wants to be Prada." That's when Miuccia gave her infamous order. "End this." Quietly, permanently, emails flew across Prada's global offices marked "Confidential." Brand Protection Protocol. Every mention of Meghan Markle was to be routed straight to legal. Silence became the official weapon. But silence with Meghan Markle is gasoline. A Milan influencer posted an Instagram story claiming to overhear private fittings. With zero proof, the gossip spread like wildfire. Meghan fanned the flames with one single mirror selfie. Black dress, no logo. Caption, "Elegance doesn't need permission." Boom! The internet cracked open. 6 million likes, mock billboards, fan edits. She hijacked Prada's narrative without saying a single word. Prada's elegant minimalism had just met its loudest opponent. Desperate, the house leaked its real ambassador, rising Italian actress Camilla V, a soft, silent, Prada kind of girl. But instead of applause, the internet flipped the script. They used Meghan for clout and dumped her. Another European brand snubbing a woman of color. Suddenly, Meghan was a martyr, and Prada, the villain in her movie. 2 weeks later came Prada's fall show. Security was tighter than a royal vault. Whispers flew. Will Meghan show up? Everyone said no. Meghan said nothing. And then, a black SUV rolled in. She stepped out like a plot twist. Cream satin column dress, vintage Prada clutch. Cameras whipped around like a magnetic field had just reversed. She wasn't on the guest list. She didn't need to be. "I'm here to celebrate craftsmanship, not conflict," she told one stunned photographer. Within minutes, the clip hit 5 million views. Inside, executives panicked as half the audience stared at their phones. She hijacked their moment again. An internal memo leaked later. "We are fighting a ghost with better PR." Miuccia's response was ice cold. "If she wants a stage, we'll take away the lights." The next morning, Prada's legal machine dropped a red-level access restriction. Category Red. That's fashion's nuclear option. She was locked out of boutiques, stylists, showrooms, erased from the Prada ecosystem. And then came Prada's ultimate power move, a teaser ad, simple words on soft piano. "Elegance doesn't demand attention. It earns it." The internet screamed, "Shade." The tide shifted. For the first time, people began asking if Meghan was the chaos, not the victim. But Meghan doesn't retreat. She performs. 3 days later, she posted a high-resolution photo wearing a Prada lookalike stitched by an independent tailor. No caption, no credit, just silence. The resemblance to an unreleased Prada prototype was almost criminally precise. Vogue Italia called it a masterclass in quiet defiance. Then Meghan added her dagger. "If elegance can't be borrowed, it can be rebuilt." It shattered the internet. Prada responded with legal fire, cease and desist. But Meghan's counter was poetic. "You can't sue someone for reflection." Fashion turned into philosophy. And in that moment, Prada's clean silence suddenly felt like a losing game. Milan was stunned. Meghan wasn't begging for entry. She was building her own door. "If you close the door, I'll design the window." The whispers turned into headlines. Solace. Her own fashion line. Minimalism redefined through the lens of her feud. The launch was icy clean, serif typography, a white background. Sometimes they won't lend you a dress, so you stitch your own. And just like that, Meghan Markle became a brand, not a borrower. Within hours, Solace trended globally. The kicker? Her production partner was a tiny Italian atelier, once subcontracted by Prada. She'd built her house using Prada's old bricks. Prada's silence cracked into fury. 3 weeks later, a gold-embossed envelope landed at Meghan's Beverly Hills office. Legal thunder. Prada accused her of unauthorized design replication and brand dilution. It was their line in the sand. But Meghan, she smiled. "They finally said my name," she whispered. Then Prada took the feud to the runway. Their next collection, Silence as Craft. No music, no spectacle, just a mirror-lined runway reflecting every angle of power. The final look, a sharp gray dress. Practically a mirror image of Meghan's viral silhouette. And inside the collar, in gold thread, 3 words. "We were first." The crowd roared. Critics called it elegant retaliation. Meghan's answer, 1 photo, her hands threading a needle. Caption, "First doesn't mean forever." The post broke records. By summer, Solace wasn't just a brand, It was a symbol, a message. She didn't need their approval. Prada stood tall as the old empire. Meghan had carved her own as the disruptor. A Milan editor summed it perfectly. Prada reminded us that legacy is endurance. Meghan reminded us that relevance is reinvention. Later, when Miuccia was asked if she regretted the feud, she simply said, "Regret? Number." Every muse serves her purpose, and far away in Montecito, Meghan read those words. No statement, no clapback. Just a whisper to herself, "So did I." What no one expected was how far the ripple of this Prada versus Meghan saga would travel. This wasn't just fashion anymore. This was power, influence, and how a single woman's narrative could bend an entire luxury house's media cycle without ever signing a single contract. Weeks after Prada's We Were First runway moment, the fashion world wasn't calming down. It was accelerating. Editorial rooms were dissecting every gesture Meghan made. Fashion analysts were debating whether the old guard of couture could even keep up with someone who didn't play by their script. She wasn't trying to be part of their world. She was remodeling it from the outside. And the wild part? She wasn't even talking. No exclusive interviews, no fiery public statements, just quiet, deliberate moves. Her mirror selfies had become more powerful than some luxury campaigns. Every fabric, every caption, every post, loaded like a weapon. She'd mastered a kind of silent PR judo that most brands couldn't counter. Meanwhile, in Milan, Prada's executive offices no longer felt like the serene temple of minimalism they once were. Everything was on edge. Meetings dragged for hours. Every campaign draft was triple-checked to make sure no unintentional echo of Meghan's aesthetic would fuel more gossip. Some board members reportedly even debated whether to completely rebrand their next season to escape the shadow she'd cast. But how do you escape a story that people want to follow? The media dubbed it the Duchess effect. She didn't need to hold a megaphone, and the world handed her one. Every time Prada moved, Meghan's shadow moved louder. And then came the surprise twist. Independent designers started flocking to her orbit. Instead of fearing Prada's silent embargo, smaller ateliers saw Meghan as a new kind of lightning rod. One who could bring their work into global conversations overnight. If Prada was the marble palace, Meghan was the open window where the crowd gathered, and that shift terrified Milan's traditionalists. Behind the scenes, people whispered that Meghan didn't just want to compete. She wanted to build an empire of her own definition. Solace wasn't some revenge collection, it was her playbook, quiet rebellion disguised as elegance. And it was working. Even fashion critics who once rolled their eyes at celebrity designers started admitting she'd done what many couldn't, turned a rejection into a movement. Her followers didn't just wear Solace because it was pretty. They wore it because it represented something louder than any catwalk could shout. It represented a woman who wasn't invited to the table, so she built one with better lighting. In Prada's upper floors, that was the most infuriating part. It wasn't the dress, the mirror selfie, or the mock-ups. It was the fact that Meghan had changed the conversation itself. She had become the headline, and Prada, the supporting act.